Freeze. Do you hear that low, guttural rumble coming from somewhere beneath the earth? It is not thunder, nor is it an approaching storm. It is the very ground vibrating under the weight of the footsteps of a creature we are criminally accustomed to underestimating. Peer into this haze hovering over the scorching savanna, where the horizon trembles in the convulsions of heat. There, among the dry grasses, stands a frozen silhouette, resembling a strange, awkward sketch from a biology textbook. A long, bare neck, huge eyes with thick eyelashes, and absurd feathers. We are used to laughing at it. We have created a caricature of it, the image of a foolish bird that, in moments of danger, cowardly buries its head in the sand, hoping the world around it will simply vanish. But I urge you to cast aside this comfortable lie. What you see before you is no comical character. It is a perfectly preserved, living dinosaur, a biological artifact of the Mesozoic era, whose blueprint nature deemed so flawless that it remained unchanged for tens of millions of years. And the first thing you must understand, before this giant closes the distance, an ostrich never, under any circumstances, buries its head in the sand. This myth is the greatest insult in the history of natural science. What ancient travelers mistook for cowardice is, in reality, an act of extreme concentration and masterful camouflage. When an ostrich lowers its head to the ground, it transforms into an immobile landscape feature, a grey mound or a frozen termite hill, blending with the environment so skillfully that even the sharpest-eyed predator will walk past without noticing its prey. But should you cross the invisible line of its personal space, the illusion of a peaceful hill instantly shatters, giving way to primal terror. Look at its legs. Hidden within these 2-meter limbs is a force that makes even steel yield. An ostrich is 200 kilograms of fierce, explosive muscle. If you find yourself the target of its wrath, forget about escaping. You are standing before the living embodiment of a hydraulic press. The force of its kick is an unimaginable 200 kilograms per square centimeter. To help you grasp the scale, a single such strike can reduce a brick wall to rubble, or instantly, without a single chance of survival, snap the spine of an adult African lion. This is not just a kick. It is an anatomical death sentence carried out with the precision of clockwork. But the true horror lies in details that are usually hidden from a superficial glance. On the ostrich's single functional toe sits a horny claw over 10 centimeters long. This is not just a nail. It is a medieval halberd, a jagged blade of hard keratin capable of disemboweling any aggressor with a single downward stroke. In the annals of wildlife, a case has been recorded that became a legend among park rangers. A young cheetah, blinded by the thrill of the hunt, decided the feathered giant would be easy prey. He accelerated, preparing to leap, but the ostrich did not flinch. It made just a single movement, a swift, sharp thrust forward and down. A split second later, the battle was over. The cheetah, the fastest predator on the planet, collapsed dead, ripped open from chest to groin, before even realizing he had clashed not with a bird, but with a combat machine whose fighting style was perfected millions of years before the first feline predator ever walked this earth. This kick is the pinnacle of biomechanical mastery. An ostrich's knees bend forward, contrary to the logic of our perception, allowing it to strike with incredible leverage. This movement is so fast that the human eye can barely register the moment of contact. You hear only a dull thud, like a gunshot, and see the opponent fly back several meters as if thrown by an explosion's shockwave. The ostrich is an athlete whose body is designed for a single purpose: to dominate through speed and devastating power. Peer at its posture. Every feather, every muscle of its featherless thigh, which resembles reptilian skin in texture, is coiled like a tight spring. We laugh at its small brain, which is smaller than its own eye. But this is precisely where the ostrich's sinister efficiency lies. It has no need to ponder philosophy or construct complex social systems. Its brain is a high-speed processor tuned to two modes: ultimate observation and immediate action. In this skull, there is no room for doubt or fear. There lives only a pure, undistilled program of survival that dictates: see before anyone else, strike harder than anyone else. This feathered primate of the Savanna is a living reminder of the time when theropods walked the earth, and when it looks at you with its huge, unblinking eye, reflecting all the indifference of eternity, you begin to realize we are but temporary guests in this world, and it is its true, unchanging master, the one who survived great extinctions and ice ages, carrying the blood of ancient reptiles in its veins. And if you still believe the fables about the head in the sand, it is only because you have not yet heard the whistle of its halberd over your head, or felt the devastating wrath of Africa's last living terror. Gaze into those eyes, giant, moist, framed by thick, almost human eyelashes. These are not just organs of sight, but perfect optical instruments inherited by this bird from the era when reptiles ruled the planet. Each of the ostrich's eyes reaches 5 centimeters in diameter, making them the largest of any land vertebrate. They are larger than its own brain. And herein lies the greatest paradox, and at the same time, the triumphant engineering of evolution. We are used to equating brain size with intelligence, but for the ostrich, intelligence is a luxury for which it has no time. It needs concentration. Its massive eyes are wide-angle telescope lenses, capable of viewing the world in panoramic resolution inaccessible to the human eye. The ostrich does not simply look. It scans the horizon, noticing the slightest movement, a shivering shadow, or the glint of scales 5 kilometers away. This is its early warning system, operating in 4K, transforming the open savanna into a transparent chessboard where it always sees the opponent's first move. This biological blueprint has not changed for more than 60 million years. Nature froze in admiration of this creation and laid down its pencil, realizing that perfection requires no edits. The ostrich is a living echo of the Jurassic period, a bird that gave up the skies to become the absolute master of the solid earth. And the secret of this dominion is hidden in its legs, a masterpiece of biomechanics unparalleled in the avian world. Look closely at these powerful, featherless limbs covered in coarse scales. Unlike all other birds, the ostrich has only 2 toes on each foot. One is giant, armed with that very same deadly halberd claw we spoke of earlier, and the second is smaller, serving for balance. This turns its foot into a hoof-like structure, minimizing friction and allowing the bird not just to run, but to literally fly over the scorching ground. When an ostrich starts running, its body turns into a living pendulum. Hidden in its tendons is energy comparable to the power of a tightly drawn bowstring. It does not waste energy, it accumulates it. Every step is an explosion of kinetic energy that returns to the muscles, allowing this 2-meter athlete to maintain an incredible speed of 70 kilometers per hour for 30 minutes. For comparison, the best human sprinter is exhausted in 10 seconds. The ostrich is a racing car of Mesozoic assembly, a marathon runner capable of leaving a thoroughbred horse behind over a long distance. Its run is not a chaotic flight. It is a dance of endurance where every movement has been refined by millions of years of practice. But how do you maintain this pace under the merciless African sun when the air heats up to 45 degrees and breathing itself becomes torture? Here, the ostrich's internal engineering comes into play. Within its chest beats a heart, a highly powerful biological pump capable of circulating liters of blood without a shadow of fatigue. But the true magic is hidden in its respiratory system. Unlike mammals, the ostrich's lungs are complemented by a complex network of air sacs. These are not just oxygen reservoirs. They are a highly efficient cooling system. During a frantic sprint, air circulates through these sacs, drawing excess heat away from internal organs, much like an intercooler in a sports car's engine. The ostrich cools itself from the inside, preventing its body from boiling in the heat of the chase. This creature is a living monument to specialization. Its anatomy is stripped of everything superfluous. The heavy wing bones became lightweight rudders. The keel vanished due to lack of necessity, while the leg bones acquired the density of granite. We see in it a strange, absurd bird, but science sees in it the pinnacle of the evolution of running. Every curve of its neck, every knot of its musculature, every contraction of its titanic heart is directed toward a single goal: victory over space and time. The ostrich is a reminder that nature created the technologies of the future long before the first human blueprint appeared. It is a living bridge between the world ruled by colossal reptiles and our reality, where it continues its run, remaining the most perfect mechanism ever to touch its claws to the dust of this continent. When you hear the rhythmic thud of its footsteps, know this: it is the pulse of the ancient earth beating, the pulse of a surviving dinosaur that carried its flawless anatomy of terror across the ages.
Forget about chaos and primitive herd instincts. What unfolds before you in the dusty haze of the Savanna is not just a group of birds. It is a sophisticated political arena, a panopticon of social intrigues, where every neck movement and every wing beat is subject to the strict code of matriarchy. In the world of ostriches, it is not the brute force of the male that rules, but the icy rationality of the major female. She is an absolute monarch, the supreme judge, and the sole architect of her lineage's future. We are used to thinking that a small brain is incapable of complex social games, but the social life of these giants is a masterpiece of genetic egoism and calculating cooperation, brought to a terrifying perfection. Peer into this ritual. When the time comes to reproduce, the Savanna turns into a shadow theater. Several females, a harem surrounding a single dominant male, prepare for the strangest and most brutal act of their lives. They do not build individual nests. Instead, at the center of their territory, a single communal pit is dug, a primitive cradle in the scorching sand. And here begins the great game called the communal nursery system. Each female in the harem submissively lays her massive eggs, shining like bone porcelain, into this shared grave or cradle. The boundary here is too thin. A single clutch can contain up to 60 eggs, each weighing 1.5 kilograms, but far from all will survive. Now, she steps onto the stage, the major female. With cold indifference, she inspects this warehouse of the future. Before her stands a task that would baffle the most gifted mathematician. Among dozens of virtually identical white spheres, she must find her own, and she does. We still do not fully understand how she achieves this. Perhaps she scans the microscopic pores on the shell or senses the subtle texture of the surface, reading the eggs like encrypted braille. Once her own offspring are identified and moved to the very center of the pit, the maximum security zone, the act of ruthless selection begins. The extra eggs, belonging to lower-ranking females, she methodically rolls out to the periphery, beyond the protective circle. This is no accident, nor is it a mistake. It is a bloody tribute to the Savanna. These outcast eggs serve as the first line of defense. When jackals or hyenas arrive at night, they will stumble upon easy prey at the edge of the nest, gorge themselves, and perhaps spare those hidden in the center beneath the heavy bodies of the parents. This is a calculating sacrifice of other lives to save one's own blood. Pure, undistilled social Darwinism in action. But if the major female is the brain and the law, the male is the punishing sword and the lifelong sentry. In this alliance, duties are distributed with the precision of a Swiss chronometer. During the day, the female sits on the eggs, her nondescript, grayish-brown plumage blending perfectly with the color of dry grass and dust. But as soon as the sun dips below the horizon, the night watch takes over. The male, whose feathers are as black as the abyss itself, settles onto the nest, becoming absolutely invisible in the dense African shadows. During these hours, he transforms into the most ferocious creature on the continent. If the major female rules through intrigue, he rules through terror. Imagine a hyena that decides to try its luck in the silence of the night. It will not see the danger until it is too late. A mountain of black feathers and muscle will descend upon it from the darkness. The male ostrich does not simply protect the nest. He attacks with fanatical devotion, prepared to crush the skull of any predator with his hydraulic strike before it can make a sound. This is a world where fatherhood is measured not by care, but by the readiness to turn the surrounding space into a zone of total annihilation.
We laugh at their brain, which is smaller than their eye, but look at their dances. These complex steps, bows, and rhythmic wing vibrations are not just mating games. They are an encrypted signaling system, a language they use to discuss hierarchy, territorial boundaries, and approaching threats. When the male emits his famous beckoning roar, a sound easily mistaken for a lion's growl, he is not just shouting. He sends a low-frequency vibration that travels through the ground for kilometers, warning competitors that a zone of eternal matriarchy has been established here. Behind this seeming primitiveness lies an immensely complex program for protecting the lineage. In the ostrich's small skull, there is no room for doubt, depression, or distracting thoughts. Its entire volume is occupied by one super task: preserving the system. Matriarchy, the sacrifice of others' eggs, and night watches are elements of a strategy that has allowed them to thrive for 60 million years. They survived the fall of empires and changing climatic epochs, not because they knew how to think like us, but because they knew how to sense the structure of their society as a single, indestructible monolith. The ostrich is not a stupid bird. It is an ancient politician of the Savanna whose intellect is tuned for absolute, merciless survival efficiency. And looking at the major female, seated upon her throne of sand, and others' unfulfilled lives, you realize, before you is the pinnacle of social engineering, created long before humans learned to build their first communities. Imagine an open, sun-scorched plain where every bush is visible for kilometers, and the horizon shivers in the haze, denying any chance of secrecy. Here, a height of 2.5 meters seems not an advantage, but a death sentence.
How can a creature of such scale, weighing 150 kilograms, vanish in the palm of death? It is here that we encounter the first chapter of their survival strategy, the art of absolute, almost mystical invisibility. An ostrich does not run at the first rustle. It knows. Movement is a signal for the hunter. Instead, it performs something paradoxical. The giant slowly, with the dignity of an ancient rock, drops to its knees. Its powerful neck, long and flexible, stretches along the ground, pressing against the hot dust. At that moment, a grand transformation occurs. Before the eyes of the puzzled predator, there is no longer a bird. There is no living creature. There is only a strange mound covered with gray, tough grass, or an old abandoned termite mound weathered by desert winds. This is that very posture ancient authors mistook for cowardice. But look closely at the details. Its eyes, situated close to the ground, continue to scan the space in a panoramic mode. This is no flight from reality. It is an ambush in reverse. The ostrich becomes part of the landscape, forcing the Earth itself to conceal its last dinosaur. But if the camouflage is blown, if the spotted shadow of a leopard or a pride of lions still recognizes flesh and blood in this mound, the second act begins. The run of death. Forget everything you know about the panicked flight of frightened animals. The ostrich does not run away in the hope of saving itself. It enters a duel where the primary weapons are endurance and flawless aerodynamics. When this 2-meter athlete straightens up and takes its first step, the savanna trembles. Its run is not just movement, it is a challenge to the laws of physics. Let us trace the seconds of this hunt. The leopard, this coil of muscle and fury, bets on an explosive sprint. He is a master of the short distance, whose energy burns up in the furnace of adrenaline within minutes. The ostrich, however, plays by different rules.
It lures the enemy into a trap of time. Its heart, this tireless biomechanical pump, works at a rhythm that allowed its ancestors to survive the impact of asteroids. While the predator begins to choke from overheating, the ostrich is only just hitting its stride. But the most striking thing happens on the turns. Look at its wings. Huge, devoid of flight feathers, they forgot the heavens long ago, but found their true calling on Earth. In the heat of the chase, when the speed reaches 70 kilometers per hour, the ostrich uses its wings as complex aerodynamic rudders, similar to the flaps of a modern fighter jet. The leopard expects a predictable trajectory. He has already calculated the jump point, his muscles are tensed for the final leap, and at this very moment, the ostrich does the impossible. It sharply raises one wing, creating powerful air resistance, and literally breaks space. At full speed, the bird executes a 90-degree turn without losing a single kilometer per hour. Gravity tries to throw it off track, but the two powerful claws on each foot bite into the soil like the spikes of a racing car. This is a moment of pure psychological terror. The predator, whose instincts are tuned for linear pursuit, suddenly finds that the prey has vanished from his sights. The leopard hurtles forward on inertia, his joints groaning under the G-forces, and his psyche falters. He sees before him not prey, but chaos that cannot be calculated. The ostrich, having executed this insane maneuver, continues its run, turning the hunt into a mockery of the pursuer's endurance. It changes rhythm, makes sharp zigzags, spreads its wings for balance, and folds them again, turning into a streamlined projectile. This is hunting in reverse. The bird wears out the cat. It makes the master of the jungle feel clumsy and weak. Each time the leopard approaches jumping distance, a new aerodynamic feint, a new explosion of dust, and a new turn follow. In this run of death, the winner is not the one who is faster at the start, but the one who maintains cold calculation in the heat of the chase. The ostrich is the only athlete in the world capable of executing such maneuvers on the edge of a foil, using its mass as leverage. At the finale of this drama, we often see the exact same picture. The predator stops, his flanks heaving heavily, his tongue hanging out, and his eyes reading complete devastation. He did not lose in speed. He lost in engineering. Meanwhile, on the horizon, shrinking to the size of a dot, the feathered giant continues to recede just as smoothly and powerfully. It did not simply escape. It destroyed the very concept of predator superiority. The ostrich has proven once again that its tactics of invisibility and mastery of aerodynamic maneuvering make it the most unreachable and dangerous creature in the savanna. It is a ghost that first pretends to be the earth and then transforms into an unreachable whirlwind, leaving its enemy alone with powerless rage and the dust of a bygone era. Look into this unblinking, moist eye once more. In it, there is no shadow of recognition, nothing we are accustomed to calling the spark of reason,
no desire to please or understand. It is the gaze of the abyss, which has been looking down on human civilization from its height of 2.5 meters for 60 million years. We, creatures obsessed with the volume of our gray matter and the complexity of our technologies, are used to considering the ostrich an absurd mistake, a comical relic of the past. But stop. Listen to the rhythm of time. While our ancestors were still only learning to descend from the trees, hiding in the shadows from the real masters of the planet, the ostrich was already dominating these endless plains. It is living proof that triumph in eternity does not require symphonies, theorems, or megacities. It is enough to be perfect in its specialization.
Man has always felt this strange, otherworldly power hidden behind feathers and claws. The ostrich's path through our history is not the path of a domestic bird. It is the path of a living idol. In the golden chambers of ancient pharaohs, where time was measured by eternity, the ostrich feather was not merely an ornament. It was the weight of truth itself. Ma'at, the goddess who administered justice in the afterlife, placed specifically an ostrich feather on the scales. Why not an eagle's? Why not a swan's? Because nature endowed the ostrich with a unique gift. Its feather is absolutely symmetrical. The shaft divides it into 2 equal halves, embodying the ideal of balance and divine order. The Egyptians knew, if at the moment of the final judgment, your heart proved heavier than this weightless gift of the Savanna, you would vanish forever. To them, the ostrich was not a foolish bird, but a living tuning fork of justice, a creature whose biology was dictated by truth itself. But look at what our worship has turned into today. From the sacred rituals of the Nile, we have moved to the madness of ostrich racing. This spectacle, balancing on the edge of circus and gladiatorial combat, exposes the true nature of this beast better than any textbook. When a person sits on the back of this feathered titan, they contact the untamed energy of the Mesozoic for a moment. 70 kilometers per hour is not just speed. It is fury, encased in bones and muscles. The bird does not feel the rider as its master. It feels him as an annoying obstacle on the path of its frantic sprint. One awkward movement, one attempt to subdue this will, and the rider risks feeling the power of that very same strike that snaps the spines of lions. We have turned them into an attraction, but under saddle and bridle, the blood of dinosaurs still pulses, knowing no mercy. We search for alien life forms, launch probes to distant stars, and dream of meeting a foreign mind, completely forgetting that right here, on the dusty roads of Africa, lives a creature whose way of perceiving reality is completely different from ours. It seems to us that a brain smaller than the eye is a defect, but in the world of the ostrich, this is the highest point of efficiency. It does not need to reflect. It does not need to doubt. Its consciousness is a direct channel between see and act. While humans waste seconds on analysis and fear, the ostrich is already executing its deadly strike. Its mind is an instrument of ultimate concentration, a laser burning away everything superfluous for a single goal, the survival of the lineage. This is the great lesson of the ostrich. The universality of our brain makes us vulnerable, while its narrow, merciless specialization has made it eternal. 60 million years. Contemplate this number. This is the time during which mountains turned to dust and oceans shifted their borders. The ostrich witnessed the rise and fall of countless species that considered themselves the crowns of creation. It watched as our ancestors timidly emerged into the light, how they built their first fires, how they erected and destroyed empires. And through all this time, it did not change. Why change that which has already reached the absolute? It is the shadow of a dinosaur cast into our time,
a living reproach to our vanity. In the finale of this story, when the haze of the savanna once again conceals its silhouette, only one question remains. Which of us is truly the higher being? Is it us, tangled in our technologies and fears, living in a world we systematically destroy? Or is it him, the last true master of the plains, a bird that rejected the sky to conquer the earth itself? He looks at us with his huge eyes, reflecting the indifference of entire geological epochs.
In these eyes there is no condemnation, only the cold realization of his own correctness. He knows he was here before us, and quite possibly, he will be here when silence finally swallows the noise of our cities. The ostrich does not bury its head in the sand. It is simply waiting for us to finish our fuss, so it can once again be left alone with its eternal, sun-drenched world. The savanna's last terror does not seek our love. He demands but one thing, the recognition that true power needs no words, and true greatness is measured by millions of years of flawless, silent running along the edge of eternity. And as long as his powerful heart beats, as long as dust kicks up from beneath his two-toed feet, the earth still remembers its real rulers, those who are not afraid to look destiny in the face without blinking their huge, ancient eyes.